It's the holiday season. Chandra, you said that it's a trend right now amongst
No.
liberal communities
Don't put it on me.
to talk about how to deal with your pesky conservative.
Yeah. Here are the talking
relatives.
points. What do you do about this?
You said, I did not know this was a thing.
That's funny.
So in lieu of that, I think it's time someone stood up with the courage and tenacity to release a video saying how to deal with your pesky liberal relatives.
College students.
The holidays.
Yeah.
I have thought about this for a while. The T-shirts that people have that say like, ready to come to Thanksgiving and talk about politics and all this kind of stuff, and they have some weird, pretty offensive picture or something of Joe Biden or whatever. I do believe that there's a few things we need to cover, which are what we think as Christians, the Christian way to have a good hangout with your in-laws and deal with people whose perspectives are differing than your own. Then the unadulterated, unfiltered version of what Chandra would do if Jesus wasn't in her back pocket.
No.
And then what I would do. And go from there.
Okay.
So this is how to deal with liberal in-laws.
What?
This is not gospel.
You went in-laws. I was just thinking, say you got a cousin in college who thinks she knows everything about, the indigenous tribes and stuff. Like
Very self-assured. You talking about self-assured younglings who've been to a little bit of college and now they know how the world works.
Yeah.
Oh, bless their
And then
hearts.
also liberal baby killers.
I think the way you get first off, the first part is simple. You ignore those folks. They have not experienced any bit of the real world. They've just been to college, which is high school with binge drinking. So what do they know, in my opinion?
Oh.
Now, as if they go on to a particular field or discipline, to become doctors and whatnot, well, they have something to say about that field. I'm not going to belittle people. I'm just saying that there's a bit of human maturity that happens through certain natural processes. One of those being having children, and we've talked about that. Another one of those being paying bills and sustaining a habitable place to live on your own for several years.
That's true.
That takes a certain grasp on reality and how the world works to make that happen. But anyways, how to deal with liberals on the holidays. First off, what do you think? Let's itemize who specifically we're talking about. Are we talking about just college nephews and nieces or whatever that show up plugged into their phone the whole time?
I think you can cover it all.
Okay. Well, the thing is, though, depending on the age bracket, you may have to interact with them in a different way. The nieces and nephews who are 20 years old, a couple years into college, those might be easy to deal with because they're so wrapped into their phones, Gen Zers or whatever, that you don't even have to deal with them.
I mean, generally speaking, as a Christian, anyone who comes into is purview the right
Your
word?
sphere.
Yeah, into your sphere. You treat with love and kindness and tolerance to a certain degree.
Sure.
Yeah.
I agree with that, but love and tolerance a lot of times can be just sort of translated as mild neglect. Like, if they're over there content to be plugged into their phone, chances are they're going to ignore anything I have to say anyways, so why press the issue?
Yeah.
I'm just going to wear I had a shirt once that said, not a Republican, or Republican, Democrat, Christian, and had Christian checked on it. And even that was considered a little politically controversial.
That's funny.
I think my go-to in that kind of situation, and we're at gatherings, get-togethers, and I've been married to Katie now for 11 years. It's like we've seen some of these kids grow up. My go-to for some of them, when I know I don't even know what they think politically and stuff like that, because their heads are just crammed so far up their phone's hind end that you can't get a word out of them.
I think most people just agree to get together for the holidays, and you know how they say you don't talk politics and religion at the dinner table and stuff. Now, and they just ignore each other's values, and they just try to have a good time and eat a good meal.
Yeah.
I personally don't have use for that.
Oh, you're argumentative.
No.
From the word go. I'm coming ready. I've got my copy of the Constitution. Let's go.
No, I'm to the point where, like, if, say I had a family member, and I keep calling it killing babies because to me that's what it is. But if they believe in women's rights, which is abortion and killing babies,
Sure.
I don't have a use for them in my life. They're not even, I don't care if they're a cousin, technically, they're not part of my family unit, you know? And so I'm not going to celebrate holidays with them. To me, holidays are supposed to be for the people you're in deep, loving relationships with.
Okay.
And I'm not going to someone's house who doesn't.
You're making your circle smaller as time goes on.
Yeah.
So, and I mean,
editing.
there are scriptures for that, you know, come out from among them, be ye separate, says the Lord. So, I mean, I get that as, and there are healthy practices of removing toxic relationships from your life.
Yeah.
You know, not every relationship that starts out on rocky foundations of you believe this, I believe that, can merge to something happy and healthy.
Now, if my friend invited me to her home for the holidays and she had a cousin who believes differently than I do, yes, that's when you express the love of Jesus in your life and you just are
I
nice
would
to them
respect
and
her
stuff.
rules too
Yeah.
in her home.
Yeah.
Know, as
But
long as it
as
didn't
far as-
trample over my spiritual beliefs and
But
stuff
when it
like
comes
that.
to in my home on my holiday celebration, I'm not even inviting you if you believe in killing babies. Like,
Okay.
it's not happening.
Here's how I've gotten in my older age, Chandra. I've gotten a little bit more cantankerous. I've gotten a little bit more cantankerous in my old age in that I've met so many people, liberal-minded individuals, who talk so matter-of-fact and feel so free to express their opinions, right? That my go-to used to be meek, be meek, be meek, be kind, be meek. Now it's like, well, I'll feel just as free to express my opinion.
Well, that's how it should be. Yeah.
Yeah. Even if that is the most offensive thing that you've ever heard in your life. Because like you, when somebody starts defending a woman's right to abortion, or as they're calling it now, reproductive health care or whatever, it's offensive to me. To me, it's baby murder. So it's incredibly offensive to me. They're free to express their opinion on it all day long. So if they bring it up, I have no problem being patient and kind while they express their opinion, and then just as adamantly expressing my own.
Now, I think that's a good way to be in general. Like, if they're free to express their opinion, you should express yours just as freely.
Yeah.
And hope they receive in kindness also.
But when you're going to ruin Thanksgiving.
No, and I feel like that on all political and religious ideals. Like, I'll hang out and talk with a Muslim all day. I don't care. We're having a good time talking about religious things. But if someone tries to tell me it's okay to kill babies, that's kind of like a non-starter for me. I don't sit and listen patiently.
So you're treating, okay, so this is interesting.
Yeah.
I do that kind of on Facebook and these social platforms. If I've generated a little bit of a platform, if I've got a following, 2,300 people follow me on Instagram or whatever it is, and somebody's voicing an opinion that I believe to be wrong, sometimes, depending on the ferocity of their opinion, or in my opinion, the ignorance of their opinion, if they express it in this super negative way and all this crap, I'll be like, look, you didn't work to get this platform. I'm not going to promote your bad ideas on my platform, so it's deleted and you're blocked. So you're saying you're treating your life like that, like a family get together. You don't want that to be an opportunity for a pro-choicer to express their bad opinion.
They're killing babies.
I know. Which, if they're
like, this is serious.
You're not talking about a doctor who's performing the operation. You're talking about someone who supports abortion. And you're saying that you're not willing to give your private space and like your gathering as an opportunity to promote their bad ideas.
Yeah. Like, and I have thoughts and opinions on homosexuality, transgender, all kinds of stuff. Yes, you're invited to my dinner table.
She's a walking endless vat of bad ideas. Like this.
No, I'll hang out and have a good time with you, and as long as you're tolerant of me, I'll be tolerant of you.
Yeah.
But when it comes to killing babies, it's a hard stop. Like, no,
You're pro-choice.
there's something wrong with that person.
So in your mind, a pro-choice bumper sticker is fantastic because it gives you an opportunity. I'm never hanging out with that person.
They're allowing the
It's
murder
a
of
life
babies.
filter. It's a life filter. I'm good with you. Oh, this is not a new thing, though. Now, I've said this before. Like when Jesus was born, Herod went through there
killing the babies.
2 years and younger, kill all the male children. I believe it was just the males, right? I'm pretty sure.
At the time,
Killing all the males, and they said there was this horrible wailing in that. That was it. Rachel, she will not be comforted because of the loss of her children. This wailing throughout all of Israel or whatever. Yeah, I mean, it's not something that God's in favor of, for sure. And I feel I'm super. I mean, obviously, I'm pro-life all the way in ways that people get offended. They're like, you don't even want exemptions for X, Y, and Z, and then I start telling my values, and they're like, oh, I understand, I just disagree, or whatever. But I still feel like, for the most part, I feel like the Christian, if we're going to go to like the Jesus mentality, which is where he and I kind of segue a little bit.
I don't think Jesus was passive and that Christianity is passivity.
No. I don't feel like he's passive. Yeah. Meekness I like meekness the way he was meek, and I like it the way Jordan Peterson describes it. Meek is being dangerous. Meek is owning a sword, knowing how to use it, and keeping it sheathed.
Yeah.
And I think that's the same way about, I said this in conversations, like, you can have a conversation, and when I talk about somebody presents a very bad opinion or opinion that I completely disagree with, there's a way to eviscerate their opinion where even if you win the argument, you lose the person. You never hear from them again. There's another way also to engage and say, although I respect your view, this is how I look at it. And I feel like that's the way to stand behind your values in meekness while having opportunity to still maybe not lose the person. Unless they're one of the people on the other side of the aisle, kind of like you are, that like, well, if you're pro-life, I'm out. You know what I'm saying? If they're one of those people, then hey, that's on them. If they want to kick me to the curb because I don't want to murder babies, okay.
Like, I feel like passivity is a great evil.
Yeah,
and that allows great evil to thrive.
Well, meekness has been misinterpreted as weakness. Just be weak. It's like no. Being meek is not being weak. Being meek is being dangerous and strong and powerful and choosing not to use it.
And in addition to people that have different, religious ideals or political ideals, in addition to, in my personal holiday home, not wanting to contend with certain things, I'm not inviting over the child molesters, the uncle who batted around someone once, like... Hopefully
they
are also uninvited.
Hopefully she doesn't have like an endless supply of child molesters in her family. I'm not inviting all the child molesters in my family.
No, I'm serious. There are so many families that they have a grandpa who abused someone. They're like, oh, it's granddad.
But it's the holidays. Let bygones be bygones.
Exactly.
Come on down.
No. They have molested someone. They're not in the family anymore. Like, I think if more people had more hard lines, it wouldn't allow so much of this crap to continue.
Well, but I will say the scripture is pretty plain about doing that with supposed believers. They say it's totally fine to excommunicate supposed believers, people who claim the truth, but do not live it.
It says not even to eat dinner with someone who claims to be a Christian.
With them at all. But it does not say that about people in the world. So to me, it's like, if for instance, I've got a very, very close friend, loved one, who's also family, who's an atheist. That'll never be a situation where I choose to write this individual off.
Yeah.
Because...
unless he's baby killing.
Yeah. If he's actively killing children, I'm calling the cops.
If he's allowing his wife to kill babies, that's as bad as if he murdered it himself.
Again, my thought on that is I'll
I apologize.
I will voice my opinion to him, and to his wife as well. Although I'm not exactly sure how this person's stance is on that, but I'll never hold them to the standard where I probably shouldn't be around them, because I don't feel like they're going to be influencing me away in a negative way on my faith. Somebody who claims the faith and does not live it, or lives it in a way that is twisting scripture, or however you want to call it, that's somebody that I'm okay with. Hey, I don't know, being around them and associating with them scripturally might be bad for me. But somebody that doesn't claim the faith, I'm always going to be more gracious to them. It's just...
Well, and I also think our views are different because of our family histories and stuff and what we view family as. I think you're a more open and accepting person in general about a lot of things. And you accept a lot of acquaintances into your home as if they were family. Whereas my family comes from maybe a more hurt place where there were people in it that were doing horrible things and they weren't kicked out. And so
more the merrier isn't necessarily a thing. It's like more is dangerous. Maybe.
That is a little bit my viewpoint. Like I prefer to keep a smaller, closer knit family unit that I am sure of.
Well, and to you, the holidays represent a very intimate thing. I'm sure it's like it's an intimate moment to celebrate with your closest friends. And for me, it's a little different. It's like the holidays are an opportunity.
It's a free for all
to spread joy as much as I can.
Yeah,
and all these things came to mind, and I immediately just filtered through all of them to get to something that's like wholesome and sanitary.
What I think is so funny is, like, I'm coming off really harsh right now, but in my family, I'm probably considered one of the like crazy
chill people.
No, one of the like more body, like like I'm the one that's more inappropriate than other people.
Oh my gosh.
Like, and I'm the one that's like hard stop.
Well, okay, so my wife's family are more accepting and accommodating than even my. They're about as accepting as accommodating as my family, but they come from a place of, like you said, we don't talk about religion and politics, and so because of that, they've covered all the bases. They're not going to bring that stuff up. Welcome anybody and everybody. Doesn't even matter. Come on in. My family on the other side was welcome anybody and everybody. Come on in because we believe in Jesus. And so it's like you can talk about whatever you want, but my family's going to be like, you're welcome to eat with us, but I'm going to tell you the truth right now. Like, you can have this sandwich as long as I can pray over you and tell you about Jesus. You know what I mean? Kind of thing.
I think that's a wonderful way to be. And I think most Christians should have that ideals and that kind of personality type and stuff most of the year. But when it comes to me on Christmas morning, I'm not going to have someone there that might attack me, that's going to try and molest a kid later, that also believes in aborting babies. They're not going to be there.
But we're not saying that all of those things
go hand in hand
are 100% all the time, every time.
But it is.
We're not
funny.
Even covering how you deal with them. Really, like we're not giving
I don't deal with them.
practical. You're like just don't. All right. Just when you're sending out your RSVPs, also send out. Do you believe in this, and you know whether or not they can come.
You can invite me to your holiday.
Already there. That's the thing.
I'm saying you can invite me to your holiday party, and I'm going to behave very nicely. But you're not coming to my holiday party, most likely.
What do you do if they're already there, though? Like, what if you show up at a holiday party with a family? Look,
they're not.
I can't breathe the same air as that person. They gotta go.
Not on Christmas morning. If they're going to bring up aborting babies while I'm opening presents, it's not happening.
So do you have to do that? Like if your parents are like, your mom calls you, listen, we invited Aunt Jackie or whatever. If you have Aunt Jackie, I'm sorry, but Aunt Jackie over and you know she's blah, blah, blah. You're going to be like, it's her or me?
Oh, I've sat home on holidays before.
Wow.
Like, my entire life I had to tolerate toxic people. And now that I'm an adult, I'm like, these people aren't getting around me no more.
Well, I can understand it from that point. If you know, if you've experienced this person, but what if it's somebody you've not experienced that person, but they just have a value
the children
set.
to them either.
Yeah, but okay. So, but what I'm saying is, like, what if it's someone you haven't experienced, you don't have any history with, but you know that their beliefs are different. Like, say,
if it's just different beliefs,
say a niece,
that's fine.
It's like, say a niece has a boyfriend who's there, who's whatever, like blue hair liberal, whatever you want to call it.
As long as he's being kind and we're being kind.
So you're saying, but it's somebody that you've had history with before. You're like, I'm good.
Yeah.
Okay.
But say
that makes sense.
Say the niece brings over someone who is being toxic, who I don't know, flips off a kid or cusses out a nephew. You're willing to make
it awkward to be like, hey, they need to go or I'm going.
Yeah.
And see, I'm more okay, and this may be a guy versus girl mentality. I'm more like, I'm gonna point them in the face and be like, "You're being an idiot," like, and you're ruining the gathering.
And I think
and I'm not
is a
going
man's
anywhere,
place.
so you need to calm down or Like, I would be more on the, I don't care if it's not even my place. I would assume that if they're caught, like if they're being toxic, because anybody can do that. It can be the most Trumpian person on the planet who's up there being super toxic, and I can be like, hey, you're making this whole thing uncomfortable for everybody. So, like, calm down.
Yeah.
You know, or the most liberal person on the planet.
I think women rely on men to set boundaries sometimes.
Yeah.
And I know in my sister's home, she has a very strong masculine husband, and someone was, you know, going out of bounds, and he had to talk with them in the yard, and he was like, this is my home. You're not disrespecting my wife. You got to go.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I can totally see that. But in terms of, I would feel like I would offer grace to somebody first immediately, always. Kind of like, maybe it's a warning system.
It just depends on how egregious
you know what I'm saying?
it
Like,
is.
that's strike one there, buddy.
It
Like,
just
we don't do
depends
that.
on what it is.
You know?
Like, I think you should handle everything with grace, but I also think there should be some things that are zero tolerance.
How do you exit that conversation that has went bad and gotten to a point that's like, we're butting heads? How do you exit that and then go back to eating roast beef or whatever? You know what I'm saying? Like, everything's normal. How do you exit that? My strategy is always like, I couldn't disagree with you more, but we're not going anywhere. Let's eat.
Yeah.
Like, cold, hard cut off.
Hopefully you don't even get to that point. But if it does happen, it's like, well, I'm going to take my food in this other room and eat by myself if I have to.
It's probably super annoying to some people, but one of my other go-tos is, I definitely hear what you're saying. Your opinion has been heard.
Yeah.
And they know full well at that point, oh, you're saying you hear me, but I absolutely, you do not agree with me at all.
Yeah.
I just don't necessarily think that's how it is, but let's eat. Like,
and
but what if they keep going?
Well, to me,
can you collectively give them the boot?
Well, I was going to say, to me, if, say, someone was attacking me personally, I expect my family to have my back.
Yeah.
Like, and if everyone was tolerant of it, I would not be accepting of that situation, and I would leave.
You would take your quarter of the turkey, you and your friends who did have your back, and you guys would go leave with the stuffing and the turkey and the whatever else, and you'd set out and somewhere else. I mean,
we're getting down to like Civil War type stuff, but
Hatfields and McCoys, I'm over it. I'm out.
I do think we're at a point in the nation where there are very divisive ideals.
Oh, we couldn't be more polarized.
That define your character as a person.
That's true.
And the people whose character that I do not believe to be healthy, I just don't want them around in my home, in my personal life, you know.
There was someone back in the day who will remain nameless who sat at my table, knowing that I'm very conservative, 2015, I think, and said, I just don't see how anybody with a brain could vote for Trump.
And see, that's funny to me, even though, like, I get Trump's off-putting. I don't like his personality much either. But for what he was doing politically, I at least understood it.
To say you'd have to be stupid to vote for Trump, considering the alternative was Hillary at that time.
Who killed babies?
For the record, I have no intention of taking my own life since we're talking about
the Clintons. Yeah. The Clinton body count is real, folks.
We're not talking about her, like, the new age way of talking about body count. We're talking about physical body count. Body count means something different nowadays with the kiddos.
That's funny. I bet she has a high one of those also.
What about, like, trying to make a joke of it? You think that's possible? Because I've tried to do that a few times. Like, somebody comes off with a really strong opinion, and you're just like...
Yeah, try to be lighthearted about it.
Try to make a joke out of it and laugh and go. Yeah.
I think that's, you know, the beginning of setting your boundaries.
What's an example? If you're pro-life, then you're just that's fascist. I can't believe you. Mm-hmm. Well, you know what they say. Boys will be boys.
I don't think I've helped anybody or given anybody any tips, but
you haven't.
I would like
you wanted
to
an
say,
opportunity to air out how you felt. You're like, I'm gonna send you this link if I don't want you coming to the Christmas.
No, but I would like to say that I feel like a lot of people forget their duties as parents sometimes. Your home should be a peaceful place, and it should be a place where your kids are protected, and your kids shouldn't have to be exposed to some dirty uncle.
We're called to be peacemakers. And I will say that if it's my home, it's different. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm going to draw the line. I'm going to be like, either A, you stop talking about that, or you're free to leave.
Yeah.
Like, and I have the liberty to do that. And I do believe that sometimes you might have to do that.
And if you have an Aunt Judy that every holiday causes a fight, quit inviting Aunt Judy. Like,
I just think, and I think that there needs to be some warnings on that, though. Like, Judy, this is like the second time you've come over here and ruffled feathers.
Well, if she's done it for 20 years, you know what the deal is. Just don't invite her.
You send her a card for Christmas and just don't invite her.
I'm going to send the card.
If you like this clip from the Not Gospel Studios YouTube channel, don't forget to share. Click on one of the other links and videos. You can find them here and here, and subscribe. I think it's down here. Tell your friends about us. Tell them that it's healthy, that it's vegan, and all of those things. Keep being awesome, because that's how God made you.